Have you ever stood in front of someone ready to speak English, but your voice got stuck in your throat? Your heart beat fast, your mind went blank, and even though you knew the words, you couldn't say them. If yes, you are not alone. Millions of people feel the same fear, the fear of judgment, the fear of mistakes, the fear of not being good enough. But today, on Fuel for English Life, we are going to break that fear forever. Because confidence is not a talent. Confidence is a muscle. And just like any muscle, it grows when you train it. In this video, I'm going to give you 7 powerful rules, not basic tips, not simple advice, but deep, psychological, mindset-changing rules that will transform the way you speak English forever. Rules that will make you sound more natural. Rules that will make you speak without hesitation. Rules that will make you walk into any room and speak English with strength, clarity, and confidence. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Rule 1. Rebuild your identity as an English speaker. Before you ever speak English with confidence, you must understand one powerful truth. Confidence does not start with your mouth. It starts with your identity. Every time you try to speak English but feel scared, embarrassed, or nervous, the real problem is not grammar, not vocabulary, not pronunciation. The real problem is the story you tell yourself about who you are. Most learners carry an invisible identity inside their mind. My English is not good enough. People will laugh at me. My accent is embarrassing. I always make mistakes. I am shy. And because they repeat this story again and again, they live inside a cage created by their own thoughts. Not a physical cage, but a mental one. A cage made from fear, insecurity, and old beliefs. But here is the truth the world never tells you. You cannot speak like a confident English speaker until you start believing you are an English speaker. Not learning, not trying, not improving, but being. Imagine this for a moment. A baby learning to walk never says, "I'm sorry, my walking is not good." They don't overthink. They don't judge themselves. They learn by doing, not by feeling ashamed. But adults fear failure, so they walk backward instead of forward. When you speak English, your mind is like a battlefield. On one side is your desire to express yourself, and on the other side is your fear of judgment. And every time fear wins, your confidence breaks a little more. Rule 1 is about ending that war. Step 1. Change your internal identity. From today, you must remove the old identity of "I'm not good at English" and replace it with a new one. I am an English speaker, not perfect, not native, not professional, just an English speaker, the same way you are a speaker of your native language. This identity shift is powerful, because your brain behaves according to who you believe you are. If your identity says, "I'm shy," your actions become shy. If your identity says, "I'm confident," your actions follow that path. Identity drives behavior, not the other way around. Step 2. Normalize mistakes. Make them part of your identity. Confident speakers are not confident because they never make mistakes. They are confident because mistakes do not control their emotions. They speak boldly, even when they are wrong. They laugh, correct themselves, continue. Why? Because they do not connect mistakes to their self-worth. But insecure speakers connect every mistake to their identity. I'm stupid, I'm bad, I'm slow, I'm not smart. Confidence comes when you detach mistakes from identity. When you say, "Mistakes are not who I am, they are part of the journey." Just like a gym trainer tells you, you grow by tearing the muscle. In English, you grow confidence by breaking the fear. Mistakes are not the enemy. Silence is. Fear is. Inaction is. Step 3. Build a new voice in your mind. There is a voice in your head that says, "You might say it wrong. Don't embarrass yourself. Stay quiet." That voice is not your true voice. It is your fear, pretending to protect you. But growth does not happen in comfort. Confidence does not come from hiding. It comes from allowing yourself to be imperfect in public. So create a new voice inside, a voice that says, "Speak anyway." You deserve to express yourself. Your accent is a part of your story, not a problem. Say it boldly, even if it's not perfect. Your internal voice becomes your external confidence. Step 4. See yourself as someone worthy of being heard. This is where deep confidence comes from, not vocabulary, not grammar, not speaking fast, but believing, my voice matters. Because when you believe your voice matters, you stop apologizing, you stop shrinking, you stop hiding, you speak with strength, calmness, clarity, and presence. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is not perfect grammar. Confidence is not big vocabulary. Confidence is, I belong in this conversation. When your identity changes, your English changes. When your story changes, your confidence changes. When your voice inside becomes brave, your voice outside becomes powerful. Rebuild your identity. Stop seeing yourself as a learner. Start seeing yourself as a real English speaker, because the moment your identity changes, your confidence will rise, your fear will fall, and your English will transform forever. Rule 2. Master your inner voice before you master English. Before you ever speak English confidently in the outside world, you must first speak confidently inside your own mind. Your inner voice, the thoughts you whisper to yourself all day, determines the quality of your speech more than grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation ever will. If your inner voice is weak, scared, apologetic, and full of doubt, then your real voice will always shake, even if you know perfect English. But if your inner voice is strong, steady, positive, and disciplined, your spoken English becomes naturally powerful, calm, and confident. Because confidence does not begin with speaking, it begins with thinking. Most English learners torture themselves inside their minds before they ever open their mouths. They think too much, worry too much, fear too much. Their mind constantly attacks them with thoughts like, what if I say it wrong? What if they don't understand me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I can't find the right word? These thoughts are like heavy chains wrapped around your tongue. You try to speak, but the chains pull you backward. You want to express yourself, but your mind warns you of danger that doesn't even exist. You want to be confident, but your mind convinces you to hide. The battle is not with English. The battle is with the voice inside your head that keeps trying to stop you from growing. Rule 2 teaches you something powerful. Your inner voice must become your strongest ally, not your enemy. You cannot fight English and your own mind at the same time. You must choose which one will support you. A strong inner voice tells you, it's okay if I make mistakes. Every sentence I speak makes me better. I deserve to be understood. I don't need to be perfect to be confident. When your mind becomes supportive, your mouth becomes fearless. When your inner voice becomes encouraging, your outer voice becomes confident. Think about this. Confident English speakers are not the ones with the best grammar. They are the ones who have the strongest inner dialogue. When they speak and make mistakes, their inner voice says, "Good, I'm learning." When someone doesn't understand them, their inner voice says, "I will say it again calmly." When they feel nervous, their inner voice says, "Breathe and continue." Confidence is simply the habit of talking to yourself with strength instead of fear. Your inner voice is also responsible for how quickly you improve. If you punish yourself after every small mistake, your brain becomes afraid to try new things. But if you celebrate your progress, your brain becomes excited to learn. Neuroscience even proves this. Positive self-talk increases learning speed, emotional stability, and long-term memory. So your confidence is actually a brain game, and the words you speak to yourself shape the way your brain performs in English. Imagine your mind as a classroom. If your inner voice is a cruel teacher, shouting every time you make a mistake, you will always feel tense, afraid, and blocked. But if your inner voice is a patient teacher, guiding you gently, celebrating small victories, and reminding you of your potential, then English becomes enjoyable, easy, and exciting. The world outside will always have critics, but your inner voice must be your strongest supporter, because you live with this voice every second of your life. Rule 2 is also about awareness. Many people do not even notice how negative their inner dialogue is. They think these fearful thoughts are normal, but they are not. They are old habits created by past embarrassment, old failures, or past experiences where someone made them feel small. But you are not the same person you used to be. You are wiser now, stronger now, more determined now. Your inner voice must evolve with you. You must teach your mind how to talk to you with respect, patience, and strength. So from now on, whenever your mind says, "Don't speak, you'll mess up," you answer back, "Let me try. That's how I grow." When your mind says, "You sound bad," you answer, "I sound better every day." When your mind says, "People will judge you," you answer, "I'm not here to impress. I'm here to learn." When your mind says, "You're not good enough," you answer, "I am improving, and that is enough." This is how you build confidence from the inside out. This is how you command your inner world, so you can speak strongly in the outer world. This is how you transform your English, not by memorizing words, but by changing the voice that guides your thoughts. Because the truth is, what you say to yourself privately becomes what you say to the world publicly. A confident inner voice creates a confident English speaker. A fearful inner voice creates a silent one. Rule 2 is the foundation of everything. Your real enemy is not English. It is the negative inner voice whispering lies into your mind. And your real power is learning to replace that voice with courage, clarity, and self-belief. Rule 3. Practice speaking even when you feel nervous. One of the greatest illusions that stops people from speaking English confidently is the belief that they must first feel confident before they speak. They wait for the perfect moment, the day when their fear disappears, their grammar becomes flawless, their pronunciation becomes smooth, and their mind becomes silent. But that day never arrives. Confidence does not come before speaking. Confidence is built through speaking. Just like a muscle gets stronger only when you use it, your speaking confidence grows only when you speak, especially when you feel nervous. Nervousness is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are stepping into growth. Most learners underestimate the power of imperfect action. They think that speaking with mistakes will make them look foolish, but the truth is the opposite. People value courage more than perfection. When you try to speak despite feeling nervous, every sentence becomes a victory. Every small attempt is a brick in the foundation of your future confidence. The nervousness you feel isn't an obstacle. It's the doorway you must walk through if you want to reach the version of yourself who speaks English naturally, boldly, and freely. If you only speak when you are comfortable, you will stay in the same place forever. Progress lives outside the comfort zone. Rule 3 is about understanding that nervousness is normal. Even native speakers get nervous in certain situations. Even world-class public speakers still feel butterflies before walking on a stage. Nervousness is not your enemy. Your avoidance of speaking is. When you avoid speaking, your fear grows stronger and your confidence becomes weaker. But when you speak anyway, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart beats fast, even if you make mistakes, your brain learns a powerful message. I can handle this. Each time you face your nervousness, it loses a little bit of its power over you. Think about how children learn to speak. They don't wait to feel confident. They try, fail, try again, laugh, repeat, and slowly improve. They don't care if people understand them perfectly. They care about expressing themselves. Adults, on the other hand, judge themselves too harshly. They expect to sound perfect from the beginning and feel ashamed when reality doesn't match their expectations. But English fluency is a journey, not a performance. You are not on a stage. You are in a training process. Nervousness is simply part of that process. When you speak, even though you feel nervous, something magical happens. Your comfort zone expands. At first, your hands may sweat, your voice may tremble, and your mind may freeze. But the more you practice speaking, even a few sentences a day, the less power these feelings have. Your brain starts to adapt. What once felt scary begins to feel normal. What once felt impossible begins to feel easy. And the day will come when you speak English with calm confidence. Not because the fear disappeared, but because you refuse to let it control you. Speaking while nervous also trains your resilience. Life will always put you in situations where you must communicate under pressure. Interviews, presentations, unexpected conversations, opportunities that appear suddenly. If you only speak when you feel ready, you will miss countless moments that could change your life. But if you train yourself to speak through nervousness, you prepare yourself for real opportunities. You teach your mind that discomfort is not a reason to stay silent. It is a reason to rise. Rule 3 also means accepting imperfection. Every mistake is a step toward mastery. Every awkward sentence is a lesson. Every mispronounced word is a reminder that you are learning. Confidence does not come from always being right. It comes from not being afraid to be wrong. Nervousness does not mean you lack ability. It means you care enough to improve. So speak with your trembling voice until it becomes steady. Speak with your shaky confidence until it becomes strong. Speak with your limited vocabulary until it becomes wide. Because every time you speak, even when it feels uncomfortable, you are building the unshakable version of yourself. Here is the simple truth. The people who become confident English speakers are not the ones who never feel nervous. They are the ones who speak despite feeling nervous. Your voice doesn't need perfection. Your voice doesn't need approval. Your voice doesn't need to wait. Your voice needs practice. Your voice needs courage. Your voice needs you, showing up even when your mind tells you to stay silent. This is the heart of Rule 3. Speak now. Speak imperfectly. Speak nervously. Because that is the only path to speaking confidently later. Rule 4. Build a daily speaking ritual, not random practice. Most English learners rely on random practice. One day they speak for an hour, and then they don't speak again for a week. They wait for a good mood, a free evening, the perfect moment, or the right environment. But growth built on randomness produces random results. If you want to speak English with true confidence, you need something deeper, something stronger, a daily speaking ritual. Not a habit you do only when you feel motivated, but a discipline you follow even when you don't. A ritual is different from a routine. A routine is something you do when you remember. A ritual is something you do because it shapes who you are becoming. It's not about how long you speak. It's about speaking every single day so your mind stays connected to the English-speaking version of yourself. When you practice daily, even for just 10 minutes, you create a powerful transformation. Your brain switches from English is difficult to English is normal. Consistency rewires your identity. It tells your subconscious, I am a person who speaks English. That identity is what produces confidence. When you build a speaking ritual, you remove the decision-making torture of, should I practice today? Because the answer is always yes. You no longer depend on motivation to speak. You depend on discipline. And discipline is far more reliable than motivation. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Sunny one day, stormy the next. But discipline is like a strong wall built brick by brick. A daily ritual becomes the structure that holds your progress firmly in place, even on the days when you feel tired, discouraged, or afraid. The beauty of a daily speaking ritual is that it reduces the pressure in your mind. Many learners feel overwhelmed thinking they must speak perfectly every time. But when you practice every day, the pressure disappears. Why? Because you know you will try again tomorrow. You no longer fear mistakes because you don't see mistakes as failures. You see them as part of the ritual. Your identity shifts from, I must succeed today, to "I will grow over time." That mindset change is the key to long-term confidence. Your daily ritual can be simple. Speak for 10 minutes about your day. Record a voice message to yourself. Describe objects around you. Retell a story you watched. Pretend you are giving advice to someone. The content doesn't matter. The consistency does. Even whispering counts. Even speaking to your mirror counts. What matters is that you open your mouth and train your brain to think in English. Every daily session, no matter how small, strengthens your fluency muscle and reduces your fear. The real power of a daily ritual is this: it builds trust in yourself. Most learners lack confidence not because they are bad at English, but because they have broken promises to themselves too many times. They say, "I will practice every day," but then skip days, weeks, or months. Every broken promise weakens self-belief. But when you keep your daily ritual, even on difficult days, you rebuild trust in your own discipline. You begin to believe in yourself again, and that belief becomes the foundation of real confidence. A daily speaking ritual also protects you from self-doubt. When you speak consistently, you stop worrying about being good enough because you know improvement is happening automatically. Progress becomes a natural result of your lifestyle, not a lucky accident. Speaking every day makes English feel less like a foreign language and more like a second identity, something that flows naturally from within you. And the voice that once trembled begins to feel steady and strong. Rule 4 teaches you this truth. Confidence is not built by what you do occasionally. Confidence is built by what you do consistently. Your ritual becomes your training ground. Your training ground becomes your strength. Your strength becomes your confidence, and your confidence becomes your voice. This is the power of a daily speaking ritual. It transforms you quietly, steadily, and permanently. Rule 5. Expand your vocabulary through real-life context. Most English learners try to grow their vocabulary by memorizing long lists of words. They write the words in notebooks, repeat them again and again, and hope they will magically appear when they speak. But here's the truth. Almost no one tells you. Memorized vocabulary disappears the moment you need it, because your brain cannot access words that it only knows, but never uses. Real confidence comes not from how many words you memorize, but from how deeply you can use the words inside the real context of your life. Vocabulary is not a collection of words. Vocabulary is a connection of meanings. When you try to memorize words like a school exam, the words stay separated in your mind, like strangers in a room who never talk to one another. But when you learn vocabulary through context, example sentences, personal stories, or real-life situations, those words become friends. They connect. They create networks in your brain. And when you speak, those words come alive effortlessly because they belong to something meaningful. Think about how you learned your first language. You never memorized lists. You heard words in real situations. You connected them to feelings, to actions, to people, to emotions. That is why your native language feels natural. Your vocabulary was born from context. To speak English confidently, you must return to that natural method, not studying like a machine, but absorbing language like a human. When you learn new words through stories, movies, conversations, or your daily experiences, each word becomes deeper and stronger. If you learn the word frustrated from a list, you will forget it by tomorrow. But if you learn it through a story, maybe a moment when you were stuck in traffic or couldn't understand someone speaking fast, that word becomes yours. It is connected to something real. It has emotion. And emotion makes memory permanent. Real-life vocabulary learning turns English into a living language, not a school subject. You begin to feel the words, hear the words, and use the words naturally. You stop translating in your head because the words no longer belong to your old language. They belong to you. You start to think automatically in English because the words are part of real experiences, not isolated definitions on paper. The biggest mistake learners make is believing that vocabulary comes from studying more. In reality, vocabulary grows from using more. The more you use a word, the stronger it becomes. And you don't need to use it perfectly. You don't even need to use it confidently at first. You only need to try. Each time you use a word, even if it sounds wrong, you strengthen your brain's ability to recall it later. That small effort builds huge fluency over time. Another powerful way to expand vocabulary is through active noticing. Every day, your life is full of English words on social media, YouTube, music, subtitles, conversations, even your phone settings. When you see a word you don't recognize, pause for a moment. Say it out loud. Guess the meaning. Look it up if necessary. Use it once in a short sentence. That 1-minute moment will stay with you far longer than memorizing 20 words with no context. And here's a truth that can transform your English forever. You don't need a big vocabulary to speak confidently. You need a usable vocabulary. A small vocabulary that you can actually use is more powerful than a huge vocabulary that disappears when you speak. Confidence doesn't come from complexity. Confidence comes from clarity. The more deeply you understand a few words, the more boldly you will speak. Building vocabulary through context also removes fear. Many learners feel embarrassed when they forget a word or don't know a difficult expression. But once you focus on using simple words effectively, your fear melts away. You stop chasing perfection and start chasing expression. You discover that English is not about impressing others. It's about communicating your message with confidence and authenticity. And the best part? Context learning creates vocabulary that sticks with you for life. Every word becomes part of your story. Every phrase becomes part of your identity. And every sentence you speak becomes stronger, clearer, and more natural because your vocabulary finally has a home inside your mind. Rule 5 teaches you this powerful truth. Words are not learned by memorizing. Words are learned by living. Live with the language, and the language will live inside you. Rule 6. Practice speaking, even when you're nervous. Confidence comes from action, not perfection. Many learners wait for the perfect moment to start speaking English. They wait until they know more vocabulary, until their grammar improves, until they feel ready. But let me tell you a truth that can change your life and your English forever. If you wait for confidence before you speak, you will wait forever. Confidence does not appear magically. Confidence is built by doing the thing you are afraid to do, again and again, until fear loses its power over you. Think about every skill you've ever learned. You were not confident the first time you tried to walk. You fell. You got up. You tried again. You were not confident when you learned to ride a bicycle. You wobbled. You almost fell. But because you kept practicing, your brain built balance, coordination, and skill. Speaking English is the same. Your brain cannot become confident without repeated action. Confidence is a muscle, and speaking is the gym. The biggest reason learners stay stuck is because they live inside their mind instead of using their voice. They fear judgment. They fear sounding wrong. They fear being misunderstood. But here is the thing. Fear is a liar. Fear makes you imagine mistakes that will never happen. Fear makes you think people will laugh. But most people actually admire you for learning a new language. Fear makes you think mistakes are failures. But mistakes are evidence of progress. When you avoid speaking, you are not protecting yourself. You are limiting yourself. You are locking your voice inside your chest. You are denying yourself the chance to grow. But every time you speak, even if you speak imperfectly, you break that lock. You reclaim your voice. You build a new identity. Someone who tries, someone who grows, someone who moves forward even when it feels uncomfortable. And the moment you begin speaking regularly, you will notice something powerful. Your fear begins to shrink. Each sentence you speak becomes a victory. Each conversation becomes proof that you can survive discomfort. And eventually, the thing that once terrified you becomes something you enjoy. You start looking for opportunities to speak because speaking becomes liberating. It becomes empowering. It becomes fun. Speaking English when you're nervous also builds mental strength. It teaches you courage. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you to show up even when you don't feel ready. This mindset is not just important for English. It is important for life. People who succeed in anything, business, fitness, relationships, wealth, are people who take action before they feel ready. They let action create confidence. They let mistakes shape mastery. They let experience build greatness. If you want to speak English confidently, you must practice in real situations, not just in your mind. Talk to yourself. Talk to your phone. Talk to voice AI. Talk to strangers online. Talk to your mirror. Read out loud. Record your voice and listen. Join language groups, even if you say just 2 sentences. Every small act of speaking is a step toward fluency. Even 1 minute a day of speaking is more valuable than 1 hour of silent study. And don't worry about sounding wrong. Every fluent speaker once sounded wrong. Every confident speaker once felt nervous. Every successful English learner once began with trembling words and shaky sentences. What makes them fluent today is not perfection, it is persistence. They spoke before they were fluent. They spoke before they were comfortable. They spoke before they were confident. Remember this: you don't learn to speak by thinking. You learn to speak by speaking. Your voice will not become strong by hiding. Your words will not become natural by staying silent. Your confidence will not be born from waiting. Confidence is born from courage. Your courage. So speak, even when your heart is nervous. Speak, even when your grammar is not perfect. Speak, even when the words come slowly. Speak, even when you feel shy. Every word you say is a victory. Every sentence you try is progress. Every attempt is proof that you are becoming the confident English speaker you dream of. Silence teaches nothing. Speaking teaches everything. Rule 7. Rewrite your self-image. See yourself as a confident English speaker before the world sees it. Before you ever speak like a confident English speaker, you must see yourself as one. Most learners fail not because their grammar is weak, not because their vocabulary is small, but because their self-image is broken. Inside their mind, they still see themselves as not good enough, not fluent, not ready. And here is the truth that can change everything. You will never speak with confidence if your mind sees you as someone who cannot. Your self-image, the picture you hold of yourself in your head, controls your actions more than motivation, more than knowledge, more than discipline. If you believe you are shy, you will act shy. If you believe you are bad at English, you will avoid English. If you believe people will judge you, you will protect yourself with silence. Your actions always follow your identity. That is why the most powerful step to speaking confidently is reprogramming the way you see yourself. You must upgrade your internal identity from English learner to English speaker. One is passive, the other is powerful. One waits, the other acts. One hides, the other speaks. When your identity changes, your behavior changes automatically. You suddenly find yourself speaking more, trying more, learning faster, because your mind is no longer fighting against who you believe you are. Think about people who succeed in anything: fitness, business, public speaking, leadership. They succeed because they embody the identity they want long before the world recognizes it. A runner becomes a runner before running perfectly. A leader becomes a leader before leading perfectly. A fluent speaker becomes fluent in their identity before they become fluent in their words. Identity creates action, and action creates results. So how do you rewrite your self-image? You start with small mental shifts. You stop saying, "My English is bad," and start saying, "My English is improving every day." You stop saying, "I'm too shy to speak," and start saying, "Every time I speak, I become braver." You stop saying, "I will speak confidently one day," and start saying, "I am learning to speak confidently today." These simple mental rewrites might look small, but they carry enormous power, because the brain follows repetition, because identity grows through language, because your words shape your world. Then, you visualize yourself speaking with confidence. Not perfectly, confidently. You imagine your voice steady, your expressions natural, your sentences flowing. You imagine yourself smiling when you make a mistake, correcting yourself calmly, and continuing the conversation with ease. When you repeat this vision daily, your brain begins to accept it as truth. And once the brain believes it, your body follows. Slowly, your fear becomes smaller. Your confidence grows stronger. Your voice becomes clearer. Your English becomes more natural. Because you are no longer trying to become a confident speaker, you are simply acting like the confident speaker you already believe you are. This is the final and greatest step of confidence. Rewrite your self-image, and the world will rewrite its image of you. Now listen carefully, my friend. If today's episode touched you, if something inside your heart said, "Yes, I can be more, I can speak better, I can grow," then don't let this moment slip away. This is not just a video. This is a message for your future self. A reminder that confidence is not a gift. It is a decision you can make today. If you want more episodes that push your mind, strengthen your English, and transform your life, subscribe to Fuel for English Life, because we are not just learning English here, we are building the strongest, clearest, most confident version of you. Your journey has only begun. Your voice is waiting, and I'll be right here, guiding you to the next level.